everyone, this is Jay with Barlow Herbal, and happy Sunday, October 8th of 2023. It is a beautiful day to be alive. Lots of crazy things happening in the world, holding on for the ride, right? So I have a really great message for you today to take you through this week, and maybe you can wind back to this on the days that you need it. But I've been thinking a lot about what helps and makes some people more resilient during tough times. Why do some people seem to bounce back quicker, maybe pivot, maybe accept change more, and actually thrive rather than survive during really tough times? So I wrote a bunch of notes in my journal this week about that, because I really feel like if you look at the world and all of the things that are happening, at least if you're paying attention, or you can even feel the energies, you know that the world is changing, not just every month or every week, but it feels like on a daily basis right now. There are so many things that are happening that I think it's hard sometimes for human beings to keep up with it all. And how do we stay resilient when it just feels like it's like, whoa, this comes and then this comes and then this happens, and there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world. So here's some tips and tricks on helping you become more resilient. Okay, and getting through tough times. So I'm going to go through this little list of things that I wrote down, of things that you can do to help yourself become stronger and more resilient, okay? Focus on the things within your control. Okay, that's the very first one. Think about the things that feel so out of control, the things that you see with whatever you watch, the people that you talk to and you hear from their perspective what's going on in the world. It can leave us feeling completely out of control. How do we fix this? We might have this huge desire, I think all of us do, to help things become better. But I think that when you bring this in on a micro level and think, what if I focus on what is in my control? You know, this past week, I actually did a full clean out of my closet. And that might sound kind of silly, but that is something that I've been wanting to do it's probably been a year since I've cleaned out my closet. And it really needed it. And I find that as human beings, unless you're a person who can just focus and be totally good with chaos and mess, I think most human beings, they do better. Their brain can think. In fact, there's studies on this, that our brain can focus better and is more organized when our environment is organized. And I know that when I go through the things in my house that tend to accumulate over time and donate them, get rid of them, whatever I need to do with them, it makes me feel more in control, which it is. So I think the whole thing is focus on what we can control. Focus on how the control you have over your health, how you exercise, what you eat, or what you don't eat. You know, focus on the things that you can control. The second one I wrote here is accept change by looking at your past. Okay, now this is interesting because I wrote this because I've been really looking at what my nephew Ben has been writing about lately, about reframing the past. We can completely change our present and our future by how we reframe the past. We can stay in victim mentality on what happened, not just in our long ago past, but what happened yesterday, what happened last week. We have the ability to completely reframe the things that happened in our past and look at them from a different perspective and say, not only did this happen for me, but it happened because of me, because I changed my perception, I reframed it. So to me, that is moving completely out of victim mentality into creation mentality. You could stay in victim mode your entire life and it will keep you stuck. I promise you. I can't think of one person that I have known for years and years, and I can think of a lot of people who have stayed in victim mentality. And I will say there is a piece of most of those people, a big quantity of them, that are no longer in my life. And not because I've had big blowouts, but it's just like, that's not the environment I want to put myself in. And this flows right into the next one, and that is to prioritize relationships. So I think getting through tough times and becoming resilient is surrounding yourself with people who are the same. We have to prioritize, and we become like the people we spend the most time with. We all know that. That's not a new concept on any level. It can be a little bit harder to disconnect yourself from close family members, and there might be times when you need to see them. And that's all okay too. It doesn't have to be on any type of a tense or hatred kind of a mode at all. I think the goal is just you might need to minimize that. So prioritize your relationships, because to get through tough times, you need to be around people who vibrate in the same energy field that you do and can help strengthen those resilient muscles, right? This next one is great. Don't withdraw during tough times. So when times get tough, don't withdraw. Dig in. Push through the tough times. This is how we get stronger. It's exactly like when you go to the gym and you start lifting weights. It's going to be really hard at first. And a lot of people, they don't last very long. And I worked in the gym industry. I used to own my own gym. I managed a big gym for a while. My first career, the first 20 years of my life was spent in the gym industry. I was a personal trainer for a long time. I did management for a long time. And like I said, I owned my own gym. And the amount of people who are motivated to start gym memberships is high. Many people get motivated. They get spurts of motivation. But then the people that stick with it through the tough times and get to the side where you're actually stronger and you are seeing results and you are feeling what it's like to be fit and resilient in the strength department, that number is fairly small, because I think we've gotten to a place where in this society with so many modern conveniences, we don't have to get through really tough stuff. We can still function. We still make money. We don't have to plant our own food. We don't have to, we actually have it pretty cushy. And I think unless we make a conscious effort, or sometimes in our childhoods, I know in my childhood, we did tough stuff. We had to do hard things, a lot harder things than a lot of people growing up now they just don't have to do. To simply be a part of a family unit, sometimes it's easier because of the modern conveniences that we have. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but we have to get sometimes the effort in to say, look, I don't like this part of me. This seems to crumple anytime things get hard, or I tend to back out. So don't withdraw during tough times. Oh, I'm going to play this video game. Oh, I'm going to drink 3 glasses of wine because it'll numb me out a little bit, and or whatever it is that you do to withdraw when the times get tough. Find ways to get through those times. It will serve you so well. Try to avoid negative people. I kind of talked about that. Expand your social network. Expand your social network. We are creatures of communities. We are social beings, and we need each other. Think about when you go to a place where there's positive energy, and there's maybe some big fun event happening, and there's just a positive vibe in the room. Think how great that feels. Think how great it is when you sit down with people that you love, and you're having a meal, and the conversation is vibrant, and how you feel not just during it, but when it's over. So expand your social network. Start doing things that interest you. Go bowling. Meet people. If that's what you really love, bowling, but you really have never done it, or you haven't done enough of it, or you've withdrawn from it. And that's just one example. There are millions of things that you could do. I have a really good friend who I met at the gym. He took my class for a lot of years, and he does curling. And it was like, that is so odd. I've never known anybody who does curling. It's like that sport. And this is what he does. And he's met some of the funnest people while he's been doing this hobby that he loves. And his enthusiasm for it is amazing and so cute. So expand your social network. Get enough exercise. One of the ways you can get through tough times and become more resilient is by simply keeping your body strong and get those endorphins going. Get your circulation moving. Be willing to move this physical body. I mean, I talk about this almost every time because it is so, so important. And then the last thing I wrote down on this small list before I go to a couple of the things is to invest in self-care. Take some time. All of these other things, you still need to kind of go, I'm going to go get a massage. I'm going to go get a pedicure. I'm going to go, do some stretching in my backyard all by myself. I'm going to go to the gym and do a yoga class. All those are self-care. I'm going to go grab my favorite friend and we're going to go have tea together and we're going to sit for 3 hours. Those are all pieces of self-care that also helps meld into some of these things about staying connected socially and all of that. If you're a person who loves a good massage but you just find yourself too busy, and you might say, well, I can't afford a massage. Look around, and maybe you have something that you can offer a massage therapist and you could do a trade. There are always ways around this if you can get creative, right? So invest in self-care. I really love that one. So I think the thing is we tend to ask ourselves, and I wrote this down, why do some people seem to be better at coping in difficult times than others? And I do think this has to do a lot with how we were raised, and then how did we put self-improvement and personal development into our routine from when, if it wasn't part of our growing up, if our parents didn't, start really nurturing that piece of what's going to help us get through this life, but we discovered it. My parents kind of did a lot of that automatically, some of the things that they taught us and the things that we were growing up with. But then pretty early, me and most of my siblings really got into personal development, and we would share books over the years with each other. And to me, I think this is one of the biggest ways that we can get through difficult times, is if we are constantly not just improving our physical body, but we're growing our emotional stability and flexibility. I think we have to be emotional, flexible beings, because when something comes at us, and instead of just getting our feelings hurt, we can go, okay, now wait a second, let me take a look at what this was. Was this really at me? Was this someone else's perception of what's going on? I mean, you can really learn to be not just emotionally flexible, but psychologically flexible. And you just have to practice it. I think that that's how some people get through tough times and they end up thriving, where others barely survive or sometimes don't even survive through these. And their life looks totally broken as tough times continue to go. And this is a time for resilience and for emotional stability and emotional flexibility. This is the time to really pay attention to how you work on that. Because it's an inside job. It's an individual thing. Everyone's situation is different. Okay, and this is true. This is, these are all broad things, but everyone's situation is different. But it's true that people with resilience tend to have a higher tolerance for the emotional distress that's caused by hard times. If you have resilience, you can get through tough times because you understand that this is temporary. I'm going to make myself stronger. I'm going to pivot over here and do this instead of this. And we have to be willing to step outside the crowds, right? The more resilient you are, the better you can tolerate the feelings of stress, anxiety, sadness, fear, all of the things that come along with high stress or hard times. This is not the first time by any stretch of the imagination that humanity has gone through really tough times. In fact, some of the things that I've been watching lately talk about how the humanity as a whole goes through a purposeful, by some people who kind of have a little bit of control over over the global population or over big swaths of countries or communities, how they actually put humanity through a reset. And it's about every 130 years or so. And it's a cool thing to look back on history and see that a lot of that is really true. And it's interesting because one of the things I heard this week, I can't remember exactly what platform I heard it on, but this person talked about how there is a reset happening, but many, many more people than ever before have become enlightened and awakened, and can see what's happening. So we're starting to build these muscles of resilience, and I think partly what goes with that is we are really realizing that when we grow and we show character and we vibrate in pure unconditional love, and we're willing to step out and help others, and not just think about ourselves. I think this is a big, huge thing, is that this helps build community and resilience, especially if you do it with love, that this is this is going to be, we're going to come out of this reset very different than maybe the plan was for it to be, right? So the more resilient you are, the better you can tolerate the feelings of stress, anxiety, sadness, etc. that come when there is trauma and adversity. So we can be more resilient. Then we can find ways to rebound. So I think that what happens is, like I said, pivot. Okay, this is happening. It's not happening the way I planned it. So instead of maybe doing the way I planned it, and I can pivot over here and do it this way. And you start to realize that you can come up with options, right? I think that is really, really pretty beautiful. Okay, so when you build resilience, it can help with these things. It can help you stay focused, flexible, and productive, right? When you build that resilience, and not just in bad times, but in good times too. So we can stay focused and flexible and productive. And I will say that's something that I was so grateful for, all of these habits that I had in place already when the lockdowns and the pandemic hit, and I was like, okay, I'm going to work out extra hard today, and I'm going to do more art today, and I'm going to do these things that are going to help take my mind off of this craziness, and they're in productive ways. So when bad things are happening, we can stay focused and positive and productive, no matter if it's good times or bad times. I think also building resilience can help us feel less afraid when new experiences come and when there's uncertain times. This is what resilience and developing that can bring us. It can help us manage and tolerate strong emotions outside of our comfort zone, even those that we'd rather avoid, like anger or despair. Okay, so it can help us manage those really difficult emotions. And I think what I think of is when I have some really, really intense, difficult emotions, I've reached a point where I kind of step outside of myself for a second, even in the moment, which is such a beautiful thing to practice, because then you can have immediate results. What I find is I go, okay, first of all, this is just a feeling. And the feelings are powerful. Emotions and feelings are powerful. And I totally get that. But then I think this is a temporary thing. And I also have the ability to change it. I can change this emotion, this fear-based, this anger, this whatever it is I'm feeling that's negative. I have the ability to change it and look at it from a different perspective in the moment. And I think that when we do that, this is building resilience in walking through this world no matter what happens, right? When you build resilience, it can strengthen your relationships and improve your communication skills, especially when you feel like you're under pressure or you are under pressure. Okay, so building resilience can actually help us do that. It can also bolster our self-esteem. We can go, oh my gosh, look what just happened. This hard thing happened. I took a different path because I was like, okay, this isn't working. or whatever the situation may be. And I pushed ahead. I did it a little bit different. And it was like, wow, that was awesome. And then it just gives you more fuel for when you are in another situation where you need to do that again, right? And then the last thing I wrote about this, about what building resilience does, is it basically, you become more confident and you'll eventually find a solution to almost any problem, even when one isn't like immediately apparent. So when you have a problem and it's like, you don't just go, there's no solving this, I can't do it. And you realize, okay, wait a minute. There's something else I can do, I'm sure of it. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm going to sit and work through it. And so it gives you the confidence to know that you're going to find a resolution to the problem that you might be having. And to me, this kind of ties all of that together. So I think that as we move through this next week and through the rest of the month of October even, if we practice resilience and realize that it can not only get us through these hard times, but it can help us through good times, look at them with grace and gratitude, even the bad times, that resilience is like a muscle, and that it's really, really important to exercise it on a regular basis. So that is actually where I left off in my journal. But I think that I still feel, guys, that this is the most exciting time to be alive. You know, be with the people you love. Tell them you love them. Be willing to be emotionally flexible. Catch yourselves in the moments when you're not. You know, catch yourself so that there might be things that you need to apologize for, and there might be things that people need to apologize to you for. But you get to be resilient enough and have enough emotional flexibility to realize that it's them, not you, that gets to do their own inner work and their own strength training when it comes to all of these things. But I would say, you know, stand strong, hold the line, change what you can change, control what you can control, be willing to be flexible as things continue to move and flood and flow and all the things that the world is doing right now. Stand up for stand up for the things you believe in. And it takes only one person at a time to help make this change that we're seeing in the world. And, you know, obviously together we are stronger. And at the end of the day, we're all mortal. And it's a beautiful time to be here. And just every time I say that, like right now, I not only had shivers on my arms, but they moved up and I have like goosebumps on my scalp. Because when I say that it's the most beautiful time to be alive, I can feel that to the very core of my soul, my consciousness. And I think that every person can feel that too if you start to realize your own perfect potential and beautiful, beautiful, creative force that you are. So I wish for you a beautiful, beautiful week. I'd love to hear what it is that you have done to help you be more resilient. I mean, we are these gorgeous, resilient human beings. Aren't we so grateful? You know, live with the glass half full always. Stay in the game. What is the most beautiful thing about your day? If you did something super, super, super hard, and it was like very emotionally tough, it was physically tough, it was all of the stuff, when you came to out the other side of that, sit back and go, wow, I'm so grateful for that experience. And that will completely reframe everything about the experience, because then you had a huge, huge gain with it. You know, that's the way to walk through life, right? And that's the way, honestly, to walk through these times. So I am grateful for you guys. I am grateful to be here right now. I would not choose to come in this human form at any other time in human history. This is it. This is the best time to be alive. So have a beautiful day, guys. I hope it is full of love and full of amazing things, and we will see you next time.